What up, devil? Sensei Tuna with another video for you. So, got this little ditty that I posted to Twitter and the Discord. Of course, if it goes on Twitter, it's in the Discord, of course, for social and educational. You know, I post videos to our, videos and charts to Twitter every so often. You might want to check it out at Sensei Toodle. Feel free to do so. And of course, post multiple charts a day for the educational members. And every 5 or 6 of those that I post, I'll share those for social members as well. So everybody gets good value. Anyway, yeah. So charts just one little small part of what we do here, but that's pretty much all you're going to get on Twitter. But what's funny about this chart is it got a lot of interest, negative interest at that, which is, it's always surprising to me how people get upset when you're just, it's like you're standing in the middle of the road with 5 people and it's a nice blue sky, sunny day, and I look off in the distance and say, oh shit, look at that dark rain cloud, you know. And then it would be like the 5 people looking at me like, you're an asshole, fuck you. Like, what? That makes no sense. I'm just pointing out this rain cloud might not come. I have no assurances of if that rain cloud will come or not, but I can identify it. That's all that this is, right? So I don't understand the negative feedback, but you know, hey, that's why I don't really do. The only reason I'm on Twitter is for TDU. I don't really do social media. Anyway, this is one potential possibility I outlined. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. That's not what we want to see. We want to see this. So this is where we're at. It actually happened to die right there. So, you know, people might think that, oh, he thinks he's, you know, called the top, big brain. And that truly wasn't my intent. If you looked on that chart, there were targets up above. As you can see where this 5 still sits, you know, whether it turned there, of course, that was a potential spot. It could turn. There were signs of it. But I don't call tops. You know, I don't call tops for Twitter credibility and Discord credibility, and I don't call tops with my money. And that's all that really matters in trading, right? Because I think that calling tops and bottoms, depending on the situation, you know, if you're trying to get back in on the trend, that's one thing. But calling tops and bottoms and trying to trade against the trend is just, it's just, what's the point of swimming up the river? I'll take the tube and ride down the river with a nice cold drink. So yeah, I'm American. I like cold drinks. So yeah. And look at what we see here. So before I go ahead and wipe all this off, I just want to show why did it turn around here when it did die. Look at this. 50 algo entry. Always in the market with the 4-hour Vegas wave. You know, so, you know, very strong reasoning it should turn there. There's money on this algo. Do not sleep on that, right? Okay, so for now, let's go ahead and just get rid of everything, and we'll do a little live work here. All right, so we'll get to this PA and where we think we're going next. But the reason that I showed that chart, and that's what I want to really get into, is the reasoning behind why I showed what I showed. So, obviously, compare this to this. Almost identical. I rode this up all the way. Personally, a lot heavier than I rode this up. I rode this up as well. I love ETH. I'm in ETH. I'll never not be in ETH for the rest of my life, most likely. I don't ever expect to necessarily sell everything, right? So I'm a big time bull ETH. Just because I call a pullback, maybe even a deep one, doesn't mean I don't like it. And as you can see, and I don't have to go through history and show you that every time you typically get what's called a blow off top, you get this kind of reaction, which we got here. Now you see it bounced up hard on this side and then what it did after. I'm not saying it's going to do all that, but maybe it's not done. Who knows? We'll get into it and look at it live. So it's, people acted like it was so crazy and, you know, again, big brain to try to figure this out. And we have seen this thousands, hundreds of thousands of times in markets in over decades. We can go point this out, these patterns out on charts over and over and over and over again, and show that especially this, the extended fifth potential, it may not be, although thus far it's looking okay. We can show that that it's a very reliable pattern to see what happens after. Doesn't always, you can't always get the same result, right? But you never will get that. That's not how markets work, right? The always thing. But the extended fifth is generally pretty freaking reliable. Now, again, it may not be. It could be a series of 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and this is 4, although this is quite deep for a 4, so it's starting to look like it's not. So I'm not going to talk about that count at the moment. But what I had shown on that last chart you saw was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Extended fifth. We are in arithmetic, so if we check the lengths here, get this puppy. So this 3 is 1, 6, 1, 8, the 1. So you can see why, since this is the most likely relationship between a 1 and a 3, you can see why I would say that this was a 3 and not a 2, or not another 1, 2. And of course, there's no overlap, which you're kind of looking for on another 1, 2. Though it does channel okay for that. Of course, it channels okay for a 4 as well. Sip of coffee there. And but then it goes nuts afterwards with the volume taking off and being the highest expanding volume, with expanding with price. And then in this final wave, if I had to show it, well, we got some small labels here, but you guys can see them, right? The wave that looks extended within that final leg, well, I won't say final because it may not be, but you can see again the 3, it's extended as well compared to the 1. And this is what you get in cryptos. I noticed that if you get a wave 3, because in Elliott, we're going to do a little bit of lesson time here on the free channel, but we won't get too in depth with it. But in Elliott, you generally expect one extended wave and an impulse, and that's typically wave 3. And a 1, 6, 1, 8 is the highest likelihood for that relationship relative to wave 1. So in crypto, I'll often see what this is I call it a double extended wave, though there is clearly, the 3 in each case is, around the 1, 6, 1, 8, but the 5 gets greatly extended. And in this case, it's even like it's greatly extended, as an extension, where the most likely relationship for an extended fifth relative to the 0 through the 3 from the 4 is a 1 to 1, and this is 1, 6, 1, 8. So it's way, do that. So it's most likely an extended fifth would be here, and then the next level is here, and then of course this is the next, and look where it turns. And don't forget those algos we showed. How there was we actually fell short of the highest target. Though entry there. So yeah. And where I was getting with that is that the fifth of the extended fifth is the most extended wave with the most volume, and typically that is how it goes. The subwave of the extended wave is most often the extended subwave. So in a 3, if it's a typical extended 3, you would often find that the 3 of the 3 is the most extended subwave. In this case, it's the 5 of the 5 potential. This doesn't have to be the count. Still, even with this reaction, there's never until something is in the past in TA, it is not confirmed. My opinion. I see people say that shit all the time. Oh, this happens confirms this. No, does it? Does it confirm that? If you think in affirmatives like that in TA where you're risking your money, you're probably asking for trouble. In any event, one thing that isn't great about this, and one of my astute Twitter followers pointed this out, and of course I was aware, but always good to see people that are with it following me. I like that. I want people that want to, are concerned about education and things like that. Not just why not moon. So one thing that you don't love about this, and again in arithmetic, this 3 is 1, 6, 1, 8 to 1, but we got quite a lot of PA, right? So down here, the low is 90. So the low is 90, and then the high is 1300. So well through the range where you quote unquote want to look at log, but I mean, clearly you can see the swings clear as day on arithmetic. That's really where log becomes important, is that you can see the differentiations in price with the long, with the big differences. In any event, in log, 3 is shorter than 1, which of course anybody that knows anything about Elliott knows that's not okay. Or it's the shortest wave. It can be shorter than 1, but it can't be the shortest wave, and it is here because clearly the 5th is the longest. But again, there's no rules associated with log as far as that's concerned. So as far as rules, we are compliant. You don't like to see that, but it's one thing to consider when you're thinking about this count. And of course, there are other more bullish counts. Like I said, the 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Even though this is more like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But we're not going to talk about those today. You can look all over to see those, and they're pretty obvious. I just wanted to, when I shared this, shed light on one potential that had it, topping fairly soon, which to me is good. It cannot grow like this forever. If you're a bull, you want this to pull back, build a base. Like, look at this nice little, this wasn't even that big, but see how that's a nice flat base, nice base here. They launched all of this, even they got pretty vertical here, but then this, you need stuff like that. And of course, we're working off of this base altogether, which has given us the ability to have this crypto winner that none of us liked. But it's time that we do pull back and build another platform to continue this trend, safely. So we have the reasonings why we think it could potentially be an extended 5th, and then why we showed the depth. Oops, I got rid of it. Oh well. Why we showed the depth of the expected depth of that extended 5th correction, which was quite deep, close to 400, I believe. And again, extended 5ths, what happens after them is quite reliable. Is that the extended 5th will swiftly retrace to the area of wave 2 of the extended 5th. So in this case, it would swiftly retrace to the 2 of this subwave, and maybe it stops there. And then of course this is, if we haven't gotten here and counted in the nitty-gritty, but I'm assuming 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Subwave 2 of the extended 5th there. And often, it'll find support there, and sometimes it'll finish the corrective there. And then, of course, we know that wave 4, the subwave 4, is always a strong area of support and an area we look for corrections to end in. Often the terminus of 4, which happens to be the bottom of 2 of the extended 2, right, of the extended 5th, right, or in the neighborhood. That would be here in this case to the terminus of 4 there. Not much difference. That's where you start building your confluences for retracement. That's all I showed. I mean, literally all the work I did as far as showing that retracement potential. And extended the play, there's all kinds of things that we expect in Elliott Wave, that wave 3 is the most extended, that wave 2 will retrace between 50 and 618 of wave 1, that wave 4 generally will be between 382 and the 50 of wave 3 on a retracement. All these sort of things that, right? And all of those have in the book, if you read it, an expectation associated with them. Probable, likely, unlikely, things like that. I find the price action after an extended 5th to be one of the most reliable things that we see. And it is, like I said, that it swiftly retraces to the wave 2, subwave 2 of the extended 5th. Now, of course, with the subwave of the extension being also extended, you're going to find that support in that subwave first, and then, potentially down. Now, extended 5ths don't always do this. I can show you plenty of examples of that, but they are far more likely to follow that game plan than not. Which is why I showed this. So, and then thus far, so let's get out a log. we've already completed a pretty big drop off the high. Not to say that this is done. Again, there was more targets to the upside that we have not reached. We showed the algo entry at the 50, but what's happening here? So far, this to me is not. It was a nice trade that at least for Bitcoin, that I had championed for the members to take on the trading rooms. But to me, this is playing out as a fairly typical zigzag. 1-to-1 is there. Top side of the channel is there. It's kind of struggling to make that. Just a bit of divergence, not really. So it looks like it still has room to the upside. And of course, if we go down and count the swings, this is clearly 1, 2. Just make it fast here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 down. 1, 2, 3. Count swings, baby. That's all you gotta do. Now, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that overlaps. So I hadn't analyzed this lower degree pricing yet. On Bitcoin, on Bitcoin, I just posted it to Twitter, so I might as well show you guys. Let me see. Let's see. So here I show that it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3's finished. Probably putting in the 4. We do have the divergence to back that up and then go up. And of course I showed this pitchfork that it's falling short of. Anyway, so typically ETH follows Bitcoin, at least lately. Let's see what we got here. Of course, we can throw our pitchfork on here, but I can already tell you with the slope of the A/1, it's not even close. And then the channel, low side channel here would in effect be our trigger line as well. Break of that would be confirmation, I say tongue fully in cheek, of strong move to the downside. It would be a short signal. But so we have this in play. No way this is another 1, 2. Maybe it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. Yeah. That overlap. Oh, is that could be a diagonal? All right, I'm not going to sit here all day and do the subwave count here. We know that Bitcoin looks pretty good. 3 isn't even 1-to-1, so this would, if this is the count here, this 5 would have to stay below that 1, meaning if this is the C wave count, 5 would kind of have to stay below this, because this would be the 3 shorter than that. Otherwise this would be like a 1, 2, either a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, or maybe a 1, 2, 1, 2. And then that would mean that this 3 could get very extended, and then we're on to all-time highs again. Of course, ETH didn't hit all-time high yet, but yeah, towards that all-time high. But the Bitcoin count is fairly clear, though this could clearly continue on as well. I do not like to analyze one chart with another, but in the case of ETH, it's always good to check Bitcoin. Yeah, just it looks more like a zigzag. This, and then of course the wave from the high. You know, you're tempted to call this an impulse, but look at all these overlaps. This could easily be a 3-wave, right, from the high. Doesn't mean that this isn't gonna create a zigzag and go down, because there could be WXY as opposed to an ABC. If it were a 5-wave down, that would give you the highest degree of confidence. But, you know, as far as if we're looking at what are we correcting, right? So corrections in time is as important as price, right? So, or fairly, and time is quite important, right? And we have created no time retracement yet. So even if we go up and create a sideways, and this is the depth of the low, there hasn't been much time. So as far as I'm concerned, I do think this is a zigzag playing out. Loved this long off this low for a C/3. I always endorse those, but I would be looking to sell that as a trader. Don't be confused with trading when you're a hodler. Too many people do that, members included. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I think this is a zigzag in play. I think we have lower lows to come, something like this maybe, something like that potentially. Who knows? Let's see. It would be that. Let's say we got to there. So also, by the way, were this a 3-wave, it opens. So if it's a 5, we don't really expect to get past the 50 to 618 retracement depth. Sort of. Let's clean up. Sort of. And I don't want to keep talking forever. I'm sure anybody that's still with me, which is probably nobody, is quite interested. All the people that aren't that interested have already left. So we're at sort of that high probability area for a retracement of a B/2. But if this were not, if we were to, with a high degree of certainty, call this a 3-wave down, I lean 3-wave, but it could be a 5. Just so many overlaps, just automatically lean 3. That opens us up to the possibility of a sideways correction, meaning that we could easily get up to here before turning back down. And then if this were to happen, whether we get there or even create a new high before coming down, the likelihood on the target is here. Doesn't mean that we can't go deeper. Doesn't mean we don't fall short of here. This is just the likely area, right? Just like I told you what the likelihood of a correction after a extended fifth is. Now, if this is an extended fifth, we don't expect a sideways. So if this happens, then we're not expecting that area of wave 2 of the extended fifth for a corrective depth, because you don't expect a sideways. Remember, I said a sharp, swift retracement. Now, if we're getting too nitty gritty into the educational things, come over, join it up, learn the difference between sharp and a sideways, rule of alternation, things like that. Very important that you can apply, simple things you can apply to the theory that really take yourself to the next level. TradeDevils.com. So that's as much as we're going to talk about today. I went a little bit into the educational side, not too deep. So if you dig that and you like that educational stuff, join us. Currently working on an educational series, how to trade our method. So I go way, way, way deeper for educational stuff, and even deeper for just educational and social videos I do sometimes. So anyway, all right, I've rambled enough today. Toot out.